Jehovah, seated on the throne. Abba, Father, the well that overflows, the God who was and is and shall be forevermore. Holy is the Lord. Amen. Blessing and honor and glory and power, amen.
I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. And we sing, Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 That is who you are.
Waymaker, miracle worker, waymaker, miracle worker, waymaker, miracle worker, waymaker. Everybody say,
Waymaker, miracle worker, waymaker, miracle worker.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Deuteronomy 6, verse 4. Probably one of the most well-known passages in the book of Deuteronomy. Of course, comes right after the chapter right after we receive word of the Ten Commandments in Deuteronomy chapter 5. But Deuteronomy 6:4, known as the Shema. And hey, that's a video we want to show you Monday night. And this idea of hearing, of listening, of obeying, we'll get into that a little bit more later. But tonight, we're going to get into the book of Deuteronomy right after this time in worship.
Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. And it's higher than the mountains that I face, and it's stronger than the power of the grave, and it's constant never runs out on me. Your love, in death, in life, I'm confident and covered by the power of your great love. My debt is paid. There's nothing that can separate my heart from your great love. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. This one thing remains. This one thing remains. You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand. Your grace abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand will be my guide. Where feet may fail and fear surrounds me, you never fail, and you won't start now.
Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. I will call on your name. Heed my eyes on the way. Rest in grace, your embrace. I am yours, and you are mine. I am yours, and you are mine.
The Book of Deuteronomy, the epic conclusion to the Torah, and spoiler alert, Moses is gonna die. Now, in order to understand this book, we need to remember the story so far.
So Israel has escaped from slavery in Egypt. Then they spend 1 year at Mount Sinai.
This is where they made the covenant with God to obey all of these laws.
Then they wander around the desert for 40 years before they make it to the Jordan River, which is right across from the land God promised them. They're ready to go in. This is where the book of Deuteronomy begins.
And what this book is really is a speech. Moses gives these final words. It's like a pep talk to the new generation of Israel that's about to go into the land. And the speech, it's broken up into 3 large sections.
So Moses begins the first part of the speech with a somber tone because he's highlighting Israel's rebellion and resistance, which has been going on for the last 40 years.
And that sets up the rest of this opening section, which is Moses' challenge to this new generation to be different from their parents and to respond to God's grace with love and obedience. So he reminds them of the 10 Commandments, like the basics of the covenant, and then he gives them this very famous line.
Listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength.
Now, in Jewish tradition, this is called the Shema, because the first Hebrew word in this line is Shema Yisrael. And this became a very important prayer in Judaism, said twice a day. And it emphasizes the Israelites' exclusive commitment to their God, the one true God who loved them and who rescued them from slavery.
Right, because they're about to go into a land where people are worshiping many other gods.
And Moses thinks that loyalty to the Lord their God is the only way to life. Now, notice these key words in the Shema, listen and love. You're going to find these words all over this opening section of the speech. The word listen in Hebrew means more than just let sound waves come into your ears. It includes the idea of responding to what you hear. So for Israel, this means responding to God's grace by obeying the laws of the covenant.
And then listen is always followed by love.
Yeah, so love is the true motivation for obeying the laws. Israel won't obey without love, and they don't truly love if they don't obey. So there's this tight connection between loving and listening that runs through the entire book. And so Moses tells them that if they do listen and love, they will fulfill their original calling as the family of Abraham, to show all of the nations the wisdom and justice of God, and so become a blessing to them.
The second big section in Deuteronomy is a large block of laws and commands.
And this is where the book gets its name. Deuteronomy means a second law. And it's because many of these laws we've heard before. In fact, in the first line of the book, we're told that Moses is here explaining or clarifying the laws. So he's repeating and expanding on the laws, making them relevant to this new generation.
There's laws about how Israel's to worship God, laws about their leadership structure, laws about social justice, and then some more laws about their worship.
Now, after all of the laws, Moses warns Israel of the consequences of their obedience or disobedience, or in his words, the blessing or the curse. If they listen and love, they will experience blessing and abundance in the land, and if they don't, there's going to be famine and plagues, and they'll be forced off their land into exile.
And that brings us to the final section of his speech.
Yeah, here Moses says, I set before you today life or death, blessing or curse. So choose life. But then things get really interesting, because after 40 years with these people, Moses knows they're not going to obey, and so he predicts their failure and even their future exile from the promised land. And he focuses on what he thinks is the true source of the problem, that they have hard and selfish hearts. It's as if Israel is incapable of truly loving God in a way that brings about obedience.
But this problem isn't unique to Israel.
Yeah, in fact, Moses, when he's using this language about blessing and curse, he's tying Israel's story all the way back to all humanity's story from Genesis 1 through 3.
So Adam and Eve, they were blessed by God just like Israel and given a choice to trust and obey God like Israel.
And then they rebelled and brought a curse on the land, like Moses knows Israel is going to do. And so these stories, they're about Israel's hard heart, but they're actually a window into the universal human condition.
But Moses doesn't give up hope entirely.
That's right. He says that somehow, on the other side of Israel's exile, God promises to transform their heart so that one day they truly can listen and love.
In the final chapters, Joshua is appointed as the new leader of Israel.
And then Moses takes the entire law code.
The one he just predicted Israel would break.
That's right. And he puts it into the Ark of the Covenant. And then Moses hikes up to the top of a mountain so he can see the promised land from afar. And then he dies. And that's how the Torah ends.
Which is a strange place to end a story. I mean, it's right there at the climax. Will they obey the laws and live faithfully in the land or not?
Well, the story does continue right into Joshua, the next book of the Bible. But this is the end of the Torah, and it's been ended here for a reason. The Torah is written for people who are either outside of the land or who are still waiting for the fulfillment of God's promise to bless the whole world. And so now, as each generation reads the Torah, they find themselves called to hope in what Moses hoped for, a new, transformed heart that one day can truly listen and love.
As the book of Deuteronomy comes to a close, God's people, the Israelites, are amid a transition. Closes again with the death of Moses, and a new leader is going to rise up. And of course, that leader is Joshua. And we're going to get into the book of Joshua at some point next week. And but again, Monday night, as I told you, we're going to look at a theme video titled Shema. And hey, I really hope you're enjoying these videos. Pray that they're a blessing to you. And tomorrow, I pray something else is a blessing to you as we get together in 9:30. We will start with our adult Bible class, and we spend that day in worship. Right, and spend that day for our got stuff for our adults, for our teens, for our children, for the congregation as a whole, for everybody, and we pray that you can join us for that. Get started about we start kind of getting things kicked off around 9:20, but all the content that you can be blessed by begins at 9:30 and about 2 hours of goodness in there. And so pray that you can join us for that. And so no matter, have a great rest of your weekend. Get some rest, because hey, Sunday's coming. Good night.
I've been asleep, head in the sand, watching the time just ticking. Clocks run around, days in and out, can't really call it living. Somewhere I let light go dark, but here's where my new story starts. Take my life and let it be set on fire for all to see. Break me down, build me up again, don't leave me the way I've been. Take my life into your hands, come and finish what you began. Till I seek your kingdom first, till I shine, shine like heaven on earth. Like heaven on earth. I wanna wake, I wanna see all of the ways you're moving. Show me the need, 'cause I wanna be part of what you're doing. In my heart, let kingdom come. Not my will, but yours be done. Take my life and let it be set on fire for all to see. Break me down, build me up again, don't leave me the way I've been. Take my life into your hands, come and finish what you began. Till I seek your kingdom first, till I shine, shine like heaven on earth. Like heaven on earth. Help me move when I shouldn't move. Help me rest when I should rest. Help me give what I should give. All of me, nothing less. Help me speak grace and truth. Help me fight for those who can. Help me love the way you love. Never holding nothing back. Take my life and let it be set on fire for all to see. Break me down, build me up again, don't leave me the way I've been. Take my life into your hands, come and finish finish what you began, till I seek your kingdom first, till I shine, shine like heaven on earth, like heaven on earth.